Baldur's Gate 3 offers an incredible 60 hours of exploration, an amazing story and a variety of challenging mechanics, making it a game that's hard to master. So, to help you get the most satisfying experience, I've compiled a list of 30 essential mechanics that every player should know. This is Aiming for Gaming, and today we're aiming for knowledge sharing. The first crucial decision in Baldur's Gate 3 is selecting the game difficulty. However, the differences between the proposed variants might be unclear, so let me quickly explain them. The first option is the Explorer mode, where you'll face easier battles and exploration challenges. Your characters will have plus 50% health points and receive up to a 40% discount from vendors. They also gain a plus 2 proficiency bonus to their attack rolls, increasing the probability of success in all actions. For example, on balanced difficulty, you might have a 36% chance to hit the same enemy, while on Explorer difficulty this chance increases to 49%. Enemies on this setting have lower health and, in most cases, fewer skills and spells. On balanced difficulty, your characters won't receive a proficiency bonus, will lose discounts from vendors except natural ones, and lose the health bonus. NPCs, including friendly ones, will have 50% more health points compared to the Explorer difficulty and sometimes more skills. Finally, Tactician difficulty ramps things up even further. Proficiency bonus and health points for your characters are the same as in balanced mode. However, enemies get 30% more health points compared to balanced, gain new skills, consumables, throwables, and behave more aggressively toward your weakest party members. This mode almost negates the concept of tanking, if applicable to D&D. Even the first formidable enemy, Commander Jalk, gains an extra attack, effectively doubling his damage output. He also gains an opportunity attack, by the way. In terms of exploration, things get tougher. Vendors sell their items at up to 30% increased prices compared to balanced mode, and the supplies required for a long rest are doubled. So if you're up for a greater challenge, this mode is perfect for you. By the way, you can adjust the game difficulty at any time, even during battles. Simply hit the escape button and choose the appropriate menu option. Feel free to find your perfect playthrough. Once you've settled on your difficulty settings, it's time to choose your character. There are 4 options here. The first is to create a fully customized character, which is recommended by Larian for the best first-time experience. The second option is to pick one of the origin characters with predefined race, class, appearance and background, but customizable cantrips, abilities and proficiencies. The third option is a blend of the previous two, called Dark Urge. This character is fully customizable, but has their own unique story with memory loss and blood calling during the playthrough. The last option is a fully custom party, where you won't experience side quests from predefined characters. Instead, you can create a unique party as you like. If you're interested in how to make such a party, the link will be in the comments section for this video. Speaking of stats, remember that they impact many aspects, such as the effectiveness of spellcasting for specific classes, traders' prices, carrying capacity and much more. But always try to make them an even number, as stat bonuses are applied only for even values. Proficiencies, on the other hand, increase your chances of success with roles associated with them. For instance, if you choose the background of an urchin, you'll be more likely to succeed with lockpicking or stealth. Undoubtedly, one of the most crucial elements for immersing yourself in the atmosphere of Baldur's Gate 3 is your character's class. There are plenty to choose from, and this topic deserves a separate video. However, it's easy to miss that you can multiclass at any point in your character progression. For example, at level 2 your assassin can multiclass into a wizard to learn some spells. Keep in mind that this comes at a cost, as the number of levels is limited to 12 and each class is leveled separately. This means you'll lose high-level features of your primary class if you spend some levels on secondary classes. So plan your progression ahead, or respec at any time for a fee of 100 gold. Respec can be unlocked once you find Withers. He will move to your camp and for 100 gold respec you or your companions. They won't lose their experience this way, so you can always repeat the process. Remember that your companions' quests sometimes rely on their class, so respeccing Shadowheart into a wizard might affect their questline. As we discussed proficiencies, let's explore where they work best. Each class has its own weapon and armor proficiencies, so be mindful. For example, your cleric won't be as effective with the sword as with the mace they are familiar with. This affects attack rolls, which will ignore bonuses if the character isn't proficient with the weapon, and disable many skills associated with that weapon. The same principle applies to armor class, which will impose disadvantage on rolls or prevent you from casting spells if you try to put medium armor on your wizard. When considering armor class usefulness, it's essential to factor it into the enemy's attack roll. Regarding the attack roll itself, an attacker rolls a die, and if the value on that die is equal to or greater than the defender's armor class, the attack succeeds. In other words, the higher the armor, the lower the chance of being hit by a spell or melee attack. The game then calculates the final damage based on other factors such as strength or dexterity for melee attacks, making the primary stat crucial for both the chances to hit and the damage output. Speaking of damage, if you're struggling with the damage numbers, here's an explanation based on a real example. Damage is usually represented by two numbers separated by the letter D, where the left number reflects the number of dice thrown and the right number shows the largest number on each die. In this example, the Shard of Ice itself will deal damage calculated by throwing virtual die with numbers from 1 to 10, then apply a cold effect with damage summed from two virtual dice with numbers from 1 to 6. Another critical mechanic to consider is advantage and disadvantage. In practice, advantage means rolling 2 dice instead of 1 and using the higher number of the two, increasing your chances to hit the target. Disadvantage, on the contrary, also uses 2 dice, but takes the lower number of the two, making it harder to hit the target. Always strive to get an advantage, for example by positioning higher than your target, hiding or having your character within 1.5 meters of the target. By the way, hitting the like button on this video might give you an advantage as well, as it inspires me to create even more videos for you. Now let's delve into the actions themselves. By default, your characters get 1 action and 1 bonus action each turn. Each attack requires you to spend one or both of these resources. Some actions are available only once per short rest. Spells use separate charges in the form of spell slots and a regular action to cast. They also require you to take a long rest to replenish. Moreover, there are currently 6 spell levels, each using a separate spell slot to cast. Spells need to be prepared, as you can't go into battle with all available spells, only the ones you prepared beforehand or learned as class specific. Also, spells can make unique surfaces if combined, so feel free to practice them. There is another type of spells called Cantrips. These do not consume spell slots, so you can use them as many times as you want, relying only on action points, which are restored each turn. They are also limited in numbers, so you should choose which ones you prefer to use. Other actions you can use in battle include jumps, dashes and many others, consuming action points or bonus action points. These actions allow you to gain an advantage over your enemies or retreat to safety if needed. As a general rule, try to use all your actions during one turn, as they are otherwise wasted. Speaking of throwables and consumables, there are plenty of them. Javelins, potions, scrolls, all of these can be used in battle if needed, and there is no need to save them for the future if you're in trouble. Additionally, if your teammates fall in battle, you can revive them. Keep in mind that you can choose where they will appear after reviving. Another important thing to keep an eye on is opportunity attacks. This allows you and your enemies to attack foes that run too close to them. Be careful and plan your moves accordingly. When planning your next move, remember that the battlefield often contains interesting ways to efficiently eliminate your enemies. For example, you can shoot at a crane hanging above and take out half of the enemies, or break a door to surprise someone. Surprise itself is a great way to gain an advantage in battle. If you hide and attack your first enemy from the shadows, they will lose 1 turn due to this tactic. Some characters may have dark vision as a racial trait, allowing them to miss less often in darkness. For races like humans, you can temporarily grant them the same effect with light spells. Returning to actions, if you have used all your spell slots or powerful weapon abilities, consider taking a short or long rest. This way your party will restore their powers. The latter will cost some supplies though. If you're playing on Tactician difficulty, it will cost you twice the amount of supplies. If you find this unfair, you can temporarily change the difficulty of rest and then return to Tactician. Also, do not ignore stashes, barrels and crates, there might be camp supplies inside. In the camp, you can also advance in your companion quests or engage in small talk with them. This, in my opinion, is the most entertaining part of Baldur's Gate 3, as you can understand the feelings of your companions and immerse yourself in the universe. Companions, however, are not the only ones to talk to. I'm not talking about other NPCs this time, I'm referring to animals and the dead. You can learn many secrets by speaking to rats, squirrels and the dead. To do this, use the amulet found near withers relatively early on, different spells or potions. It's worth a try. Trading is another important aspect of the game, and the prices are affected by your decisions and relationships with traders. You can also streamline your trading process by adding items to wares. More importantly, you can pickpocket from everyone. Stealing also involves ability checks, and after a successful theft, it's wise to retreat for a while and let the trader forget about you. If you feel that you should deal with an NPC in a more aggressive manner, you can turn on non-lethal attacks. Ability checks are essential for almost every activity, so it's great to use a specific character for specific tasks. For example, Astarion is great at lockpicking. If you find that ability checks aren't going well, use spells and cantrips that can help you. One excellent example here is Shadowheart's cantrip, which adds 1d4 to your ability check. All these thoughts about randomness undoubtedly bring us to the fact that you should save often. By default, the game is saved rather infrequently, so consider utilizing the quick save option by pressing F5. The last thing to cover today is exploration. There are so many secrets hidden in this game, territories accessed via jumps, buried treasures, traps and much more. So be vigilant and check your surroundings. Maybe there is a hidden passage nearby. This is what makes your journey full of surprises. I hope with this guide you have achieved what you were aiming for today. For more guides, simply visit my channel and consider subscribing, it's that easy. Thank you all for watching and see you next time.